Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day. I'm just chilling, maneuvering in this hot-ass Philadelphia weather, man. I figured I'd tap in with y'all real quick. On the road to 3K. We well into the 2,900 mark. About to hit that 3K mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. All right. It's about time we had this discussion, man, because it feels like nowadays with current boxing fans, y'all forget things so easily, man. And, you know, one of the cliches that goes around in boxing is that boxing fans are extremely fickle. And, you know, recency bias is a real thing. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the whole situation that's going on in the welterweight division with Jaron Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. Now, just yesterday, Jaron Ennis had officially announced on his social media platforms that he will be moving up to the 154-pound division. He said, you know, this is what y'all wanted. You know, this is where all the smoke is at. You know, it's definitely one of the most competitive divisions in boxing, if you ask me personally. So he's saying, what's up? Let's have it. I'm with the smoke. Let's get it popping. I'm looking to be world champion in this division, and not only be a world champion, but take over the division. You see what I'm saying? Brian Norman, just this morning, out in Japan, just beat the dog shit out of Jin Sasaki, man. Expose his, you know, defensive, you know, the holes in his defense like we thought he would. We thought that Brian Norman was going to absolutely obliterate Jin Sasaki. I think people overestimated Jin Sasaki in a sense. I even gave him the benefit of the doubt, you know what I mean? Just assuming that because he'll be in Japan, you know, he was going to, you know, show a lot more durability, but that wasn't the case at all. He got packed up in 5 rounds. And Brian Norman is in the running right now for knockout of the year, if we being honest. You see what I'm saying? So, with both of these guys obviously having their names attached to each other, and we know the history behind, you know, the situation where Jaron Ennis was attempting to, you know, get a fight going with Brian Norman. Brian Norman's team, you know, they sent multiple counter offers, and it ended up being a situation where Brian Norman was literally getting paid buku dollars, I guess you would say, for an opportunity to fight for a unification fight at the Wells Fargo in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? That ended up falling through. You know, they try to blame Eddie Hearn, and they said they wasn't too fond of the location, but somehow, some way, you know, they had no problem fighting, you know, Santillan in his backyard, and they had no problem fighting Jin Sasaki in his home country, but somehow, some way, it was an issue that, you know, Jaron Ennis was fighting, was attempting to fight Brian Norman in Philadelphia. You see what I'm saying? So we all seen what happened with that, and justifiably so. The Normans faced a lot of criticism for literally ducking Jaron Ennis. Cool. So now that Boots is making, after multiple attempts, because he just attempted to get a fight, you know, agreed to with Brian Norman while he was getting ready for the Jin Sasaki fight, and they refused to get a deal done while being in the middle of camp. You know what I'm saying? Now, if that's what y'all want to do, that's cool, but you can't sit here and say that Boots wasn't trying to get the fight going. He tried to make the fight happen while you didn't have a fight lined up. This was before the Derek Cuevas fight. Y'all wasn't ready for that. Y'all just didn't feel like that was the right move. Y'all felt like fighting on Michaela Mayer's undercard was a better move in comparison to, you know, headlining, you know, for a unification belt and a career high payday. You know what I'm saying? You can't sit around now. And this is what boxing fans are tapping into right now. Now these boxing fans are literally saying that Jaron Ennis left the division to avoid Brian Norman. Excuse me? What the fuck is we even talking about, y'all? Like, for instance, and this is how you know these boxing fans are extremely, extremely hypocritical. Boots fought like 2 weeks after Brian Norman, right? And in the lead up to the Stanionis fight, everybody was talking about how drained Jaron Ennis looked. Am I right or wrong? Everybody was coming out and saying that this man just needs to move up in weight. He looks absolutely drained. And we're even speculating that Stanionis may win as a result of Jaron Ennis looking the way he looked on the scale, right? So you're strongly advising Jaron Ennis to move up to 154 because he didn't look healthy on the scale. So how can you go from saying that to now saying because he made the move, he did what y'all said, what y'all suggested, he's following through with? After multiple attempts of trying to make a fight with Brian Norman, and him coming out to the media and admitting that, you know, 147 was a tough cut. You know, he done did blood work, and, you know, doctors said that he was underperforming and he was, you know, malnourished, pretty much malnourished, and wasn't in the right spot, you know, physically to compete in that weight class anymore. He did everything to try to stay in the welterweight division. He took every chance it took to fight Brian Norman for his WBO title while simultaneously defending the WBA, the Ring Magazine, and the IBF. You see what I mean? So how can y'all go from suggesting him to move up to 154 pounds, considering how drained he looked against Ennis, to all of a sudden him following through with y'all suggestions and assuming that he ducked Brian Norman to get up out of 147? How does that even work? How does that even go together? So, Jaron Ennis, I'm going to just keep it thorough with you, brother. I'm going to keep it a bean, man. You do what's best for your career, brother. You feel what I'm saying? If you feel like you was truly underperforming in the welterweight division and, you know, you don't want to have no bullshit performances as a result of it, which they would criticize you for, and not only will they criticize you for that performance, you know, being drained at 147, but they'll also say, oh, he should have just moved up. So fuck what these niggas talking about, bro. These niggas are full of shit. You feel what I'm saying? If it ain't one thing, it's another. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's just I guess that's just part of the game that we in nowadays. These boxing fans, they inconsistent as fuck. They contradict themselves at every moment. You know, that they every time they speak, they contradicting themselves. You feel what I'm saying? One instance, if he would have stood at 47, they said he should have moved up to 54, and they were saying that he should have moved up to 54 when Virgil Ortiz offer was sent. You feel what I'm saying? They was like, oh, he should just move up to 54, man. There ain't nothing for him at 147. And this was while Brian Norman was the WBO welterweight champion of the world. So now that he's moving up, going into a more dangerous division, y'all sitting here telling people that Brian Norman is being ducked by Jaron Ennis. What type of shit is that? Like, y'all gotta pick a stance, bro. Is it that Boots is ducking Brian Norman, or is it that, you know what I mean, Boots needs to move up in weight because he done been through too many failed negotiations with these champions? You feel what I mean? Like, it don't make sense, man. Y'all gotta make up your minds, and y'all gotta keep that same energy, bro. You feel what I mean? So that's my spiel on this whole situation, man. This shit is disgusting in all honesty, bro. Like I said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If Boots would have stood at 47, they would have said that he was ducking Smoke at 54. You know what I mean? Just like they say he was ducking Virgil somehow, some way. Then, if you go to 154, then you ducking Brian Norman at 147 pounds. After he just beat a fucking tailor-made bum with no defense. You know what I mean? Had a little bit of steam on his punches, but absolutely no defense, no boxing ability whatsoever, no lateral movement, no upper body movement. You know what I'm saying? Just completely lacking in every aspect. Brian Norman was better than him in every way possible. And you handpicked that opponent. You feel what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. These boxing fans are, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Y'all gotta be some of the worst fans in all of sports. Basketball, football, baseball. Y'all at the top when it comes to fickle, inconsistent ass fans. You feel what I mean? That's my overall take on this situation. I see why boxers don't fuck with fans. I see why they don't do, like, you know, autograph signings and meetups and shit, because y'all some fake motherfuckers, man. And I see why guys like Earl Spence disappear off social media. I see all of it now. It just makes all the sense in the world now that I'm thinking about it from this, you know, point of view. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. This is Mazuma TV. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.